Hey friends, Christine here, and I'm going to show you inside of our last American history unit, Modern America Part 2. So Part 1 covered, obviously, early modern America history, and this is going to cover everything from the Civil Rights era through modern wars. So this is a 7-lesson curriculum. And if you're familiar with rabbit trails, you will know that each lesson takes about 2 weeks to get through. So that makes it a 14-week curriculum, which will cover about one semester. So in our own homeschool, we used Modern America Part 1 in the fall and Modern America Part 2 in the spring. And so we just had a nice, tidy Modern America year in history. But I'm really excited to show you inside of this. I will show you all of the main books. All of that. So if you have not used rabbit trails before, you will see what a typical lesson looks like. If you have used it before, you'll be super familiar with what we're going to be going through, and you will see the actual details of this specific unit. So first, obviously, books are the biggest part of rabbit trails. And so we have main books for every single lesson. And so you're going to start out by reading those main books. And then you're going to continue down that rabbit trail. You're going to read more books. You're going to do hands-on activities, research projects, all kinds of cool stuff. So I want to show you first inside. I don't even have these in order. Oh my goodness. Look at me not being prepared. I'm going to show you inside of this unit so that you can see all the fun stuff. So the books. The very first book we have is Freedom on the Menu, Patrol, Flight for Freedom, Hidden Figures, Jerry Changed the Game, Elvis is King, and Survivor Tree. So you probably have a pretty good idea of the different topics that we're going to be going over, but I will list those topics for you as well. So it'll be going over the Civil Rights era, the Vietnam era, rock and roll, the Berlin crisis, the space race, the digital age, and modern wars. So it's kind of a really neat curriculum because you're not necessarily just learning about your typical historic stuff, because we do have rock and roll in there, but that was a really big deal at the time because there wasn't music like that before that. And so it was a really big kind of culture shift. And same with the digital age. What happened during that time frame was amazing. And so we wanted to include those fun lessons for your kiddos, just because I felt like if we left them out, it would leave that gap in history that that they wouldn't, cover with other stuff, because we're not going to be talking about things like hippies and whatnot for younger kids. And so rock and roll filled that gap really, really well. And then obviously the digital age is huge. So much happened with, adding television, adding cell phones, adding computers. I know when I grew up, we had a computer, but it didn't do anything. We're now, we're basically holding computers in our hands with our phones, right? And so kids don't realize how much had happened because they have always had this stuff. So it's really cool to look at the differences and whatnot. So anyway, so let me show you inside of a lesson. So the first thing you're going to see, actually, let me flip to this lesson because it'll be the one that's in our sample lesson, which I'll talk about. So the first thing you're going to have is the lesson. So like I said, you will start by reading the main book, and then it just has more information about that specific topic. There is copy work. All of our copy work for history has a quote from that time period and also a Bible verse. And with that Bible verse is a really small lesson just to tie it into whatever that lesson is. So it's not just a random Bible verse. So your kids are able to tie that into what they are learning. So they can use both of those things as copy work. We have our some fun activities. This is some type of hands-on activity. And for our Vietnam era, they're making a conical hat. And so it can be really simple like this. Sometimes they're a lot more involved. It just depends on the different lessons. And so it'll list the supplies for you and tell you exactly what you need to do the hands-on activity. After that, this is like 2-page layout here. We have our rabbit trails page and our library list page. So this is where you're going to see the more book ideas. So the main books that I showed you are required reading. So those are the books you're going to probably want to purchase, whether you purchase them from Amazon or you purchase them from used bookstores, or just check ahead of time that your library has them so you're not scrambling last minute to try to get them. But those are what we base our lessons off of. All of the books on these pages are just suggestions. So you can get as many or as few as you want. If your library has other books on the topic, grab those, no big deal. These are just some books that we found and that really covered that time period really well. There's also a video suggestion for you on this page as well, so you guys can explore those videos. And then we have our more ideas page, and it is exactly what it sounds like. It is more ideas to go further down that rabbit trail. So this could be more hands-on activities. This could be a research project. A lot of times we include art history. A lot of times we include poetry. It could be all kinds of stuff. And so there's some really cool resources here for you to continue learning. And you can choose to do all of these. You can choose to do just a couple of these, whatever you want to do for your own homeschool, because everyone's different. So I did mention a sample lesson. So we have a sample lesson of that one that I just went through on our website. So you can check out a full lesson to see, you know, all of those details in person to make sure that this curriculum is a good fit for you. We also have a sample schedule. So I don't give you a schedule inside of the curriculum that says do this Monday, do this Tuesday. This will just give you an idea of how you would lay a single lesson out over 2 weeks. You can see what days that we would read a book, what days we would do an activity, and that's based off of a 5-day school week. We typically do history in my house 2 to 3 days, and so our schedule would look different than what the sample schedule is, and I didn't want to tie anyone down to having it look a specific way in their home, because then you start wondering if you're behind, if you're not doing it exactly as it says, and that's ridiculous. You do it on your time, and you make your own schedule because it is your family and however you want to do it. But that just gives you an idea of how you're going to lay it out over 2 weeks and then how you would, you know, move stuff around. We also have a companion journal that you can get to go along with this curriculum. So I will show you inside of this really fast. I love these companion journals because they just keep everything neat and tidy and all in one spot. Where before we would do this, we would have like a binder and my kids would slip papers in and it would be all over the place. This keeps everything in the same place. So there is a spot for the lesson. So if they're wanting to write anything that they've learned from the book that you read or draw anything to go with it, there's a space to do that. There is a page for both copyworks. So that's the quote, and here is the Bible verse copywork page. There is a page that if they want to write anything down about the video that they watch, you can write that there. There is also a page to go with any of the Rabbit Trails books. You can add any information that you learned from those. And then the More Ideas pages are going to look different based on what the more ideas are for that lesson. And so this one was to write about the different presidents during the Vietnam era, because there was quite a few presidents because that war lasted a really long time. So there are pages to write about the different presidents. There's 4 of them. They all look the same, but we left you a page for all of them, so you could make sure to fill it all in. And then there is a page for the art study here as well. And so you can keep it all in one place. Again, depending on how the lesson looks and how many more ideas that actually require a page will depend on how many pages there are for that lesson and for the more ideas. So I think that covers everything. Let me double check over my website to make sure I didn't forget anything, but I think that's it. So if you have any questions, make sure to put those down in the comments and I'm more than happy to answer them. And if you are seeing this before it releases, so this actual curriculum is releasing August 13th, Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. And this video should be up before then. And so mark your calendar for that. And if you are seeing this between August 13th and that Sunday, August 17th, this unit will be 20% off using the code MODAM20, so MODAM20, so that you can get 20% off. And so take advantage of the sale. We love having those discounts for you guys just to make homeschooling more affordable, but we obviously try to keep our prices low as well so that they're always affordable even without the sale. We also have a history sale all month long using the code HISTORY15. You can save 15% off of all of our units all of the month of August here in 2025. So I hope you guys love this unit and have a great time with it, just like we did in our homeschool. And as always, I just thank you guys for joining me. It's always a great time to chat. So I will see you guys next time.